The alien council chamber was silent. 1,000 eyes, glowing and unblinking, stared at the screen above their heads. The stars outside were calm, empty, and eternal. Then the shadow appeared. At first, it was only a shape in the void, a dark line against the brightness of a distant sun. But as it moved closer, the shape grew larger, metal, steel, something designed for war. The council members shifted in their seats, whispering in fear. "It is here," one elder rasped, his voice trembling. "The Terran ship." None of them wanted to believe it. For months, stories had spread across the Empire, stories of humans who refused to kneel. When the Empire demanded Earth's surrender, the answer had not been submission. It had been defiance, and now, floating above their skies, was proof of that defiance. The alien emperor stood tall at the center of the chamber. His robe glittered with threads of gold, but his eyes betrayed unease. "It is only one ship," he declared, trying to sound calm. "One ship cannot threaten an empire that has ruled for centuries." "Majesty," an advisor whispered, "our fleets could not even track it when it entered the system. No alarms, no warnings. It was simply there." Another council member hissed, "They call it the Iron Dawn. They say it was built in the darkness of their world. A ship forged by fear, but driven by anger." The Emperor slammed his staff against the floor, silencing them. "We are the Empire. Our fleets number in the thousands. These humans have no place among the stars. They are children playing with weapons they do not understand." But even as he spoke, the chamber's lights flickered. A hum vibrated through the walls. The ship had locked its presence on their world. On the screen, the Terran battleship finally revealed its size. It was larger than any vessel in the Empire, its black hull absorbing all light, its surface sharp and merciless. No banners, no marks of pride, just a dark beast waiting to strike. Gasps filled the chamber. One commander leaned forward. "Majesty, it carries weapons we cannot identify. Look at the heat signatures. This is not like anything we have seen." The Emperor's face tightened. "Send them a message. Order them to stand down." The signal was sent. The room held its breath. Seconds stretched into eternity. Then a voice came through the speakers, calm, steady, unmistakably human. "This is the battleship Iron Dawn. We come with a message from Earth. You demanded our surrender. Instead, we bring you our answer." The council froze. The Emperor sneered. "Empty words. They dare challenge us?" But the voice continued, cutting through his arrogance. "You have ruled with fear. You have crushed countless worlds. You believed Earth would be the same. You were wrong." The words echoed in the chamber. Some of the council shifted nervously, their tails and limbs twitching. For the first time in centuries, someone had spoken to them without fear. "Majesty," a general whispered, "their ship is not bluffing. One strike could cripple the capital fleet." "Enough," the Emperor roared. "Prepare the armada. Show them what happens when a world resists the Empire." Outside, dozens of alien ships began to form ranks. The capital fleet rose from the planet's surface, sleek silver hulls gleaming under the starlight. Thousands of weapons turned toward the lone Terran ship. In the chamber, confidence returned. The Emperor smirked. "See, one ship against thousands. They will be dust within minutes." But then, something strange happened. The Terran battleship did not move. It did not retreat. It simply floated silent and calm as the Empire's armada drew closer. The human voice spoke again. "You believe numbers win wars. You believe fear keeps you safe, but you never faced humans before. You never faced a species that was forged in endless conflict." The Emperor's smirk faded. The human's voice dropped lower, each word sharp as a blade. "We do not kneel, we do not bow, we do not break." And then the ship lit up. Not with fire, not with ordinary weapons, but with a blinding surge of energy that spread across its hull like a storm. "Ready to break," Sensors screamed inside the chamber. Alarms blared. Every screen flashed warnings the aliens could not read fast enough. "Majesty!" a commander cried. "It is charging something massive!" The Emperor shouted. "Attack! Now!" Outside, thousands of alien ships fired. Beams of light, missiles, plasma bolts, all rushed toward the Terran vessel. The void lit up like a sun exploding. For a moment, the humans disappeared behind the storm. The council members cheered, believing victory was already theirs. But then the storm cleared. The Terran ship still floated, untouched. Every weapon had failed. Every shot had been absorbed into its black hull. Silence fell, heavier than before. The human voice returned, calm and merciless. "Your empire ends today." The chamber erupted into chaos. Some cried out for retreat, others begged for mercy. The Emperor's face turned pale as the battleship's energy reached its peak. And then, in the distance of the void, a single beam of white light cut across the stars. Silent, precise, final. The alien armada, proud and countless, simply vanished. Ships turned into fire, fire turned into ash, and ash was swallowed by the darkness of space. In the chamber, no one spoke. The Emperor fell back into his throne, his crown trembling on his head. The voice spoke one last time. "Remember our message. Earth kneels to no one." The transmission ended. The black ship drifted above, silent once more, but its presence heavier than 1,000 fleets, and in that silence an empire crumbled. The rain poured down on the dark city, running like rivers along broken streets. Humanity was preparing for something greater than survival. It was preparing for war. Inside a hidden hangar, deep beneath the earth, the sound of machines echoed. Sparks flew as engineers welded steel, tested engines, and whispered to each other with tired voices. The project had no name at first. Only later would they call it Iron Dawn. But in these early days, it was nothing more than a dream, a desperate plan whispered in secret meetings. General Marcus walked across the hangar floor, his boots striking the metal ground with force. His face was stern, his eyes tired from too many nights without sleep. He looked up at the skeleton of the great ship and felt the weight of the entire world pressing down on him. "Will it hold?" he asked. Dr. Elena, chief engineer, wiped the sweat from her brow. Her coat was burned in several places, her hands covered in oil. "It must hold," she said. "There is no second chance. If this ship fails, humanity fails with it." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "The Empire thinks we are weak. They see one small planet and believe we will bend. But this ship—" His hand touched the cold steel. "This ship will show them what humans do when we are cornered." Elena smiled faintly. "Humans fight." Around them, workers shouted, "Power couplings ready! Weapon coils stable! Hull plating attached!" The ship was growing each day, piece by piece, like a monster rising from the earth. But not everyone believed. In a dark corner of the hangar, 2 soldiers whispered. "You really think one ship can beat an empire?" the first said. His voice shook with doubt. The other leaned closer. "It doesn't matter if it can. It matters that we try. Better to die standing than live on our knees." Their words spread among the workers, and soon it became a chant. Better to die standing than live on our knees. The echo reached every part of the hangar, fueling the fire inside tired hearts. Still, the Empire did not stay silent. Their ships appeared in the skies, demanding Earth surrender. Messages flooded across every channel. "Bow or be destroyed." In the War Council, leaders gathered. Old generals, young soldiers, scientists and politicians all argued. "They have thousands of ships," one shouted. "We cannot fight them." "If we surrender," another argued, "they will enslave us, strip our world and leave nothing behind." Marcus slammed his fist on the table. "Listen to yourselves. We already know what surrender brings. History has shown us. Tyranny, chains, humiliation. This time we fight back." Eleanor stood beside him, holding a small piece of metal in her hand. It was part of the ship's first weapon coil, the one she built herself. She placed it on the table. "We have built something new, something they will not expect. This ship is not just steel and engines, it is the heart of humanity. If we fail, at least we failed fighting. But if we succeed, we change everything." The room fell silent. One by one, heads nodded. The decision was made, and so the work continued. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months. Food grew scarce. Families gave up comforts, sending resources to the project. Children painted the ship's image on walls, calling it Earth's Guardian. The entire planet was united by one purpose, but fear never left. One night, as Elena walked along the hangar, she overheard a mechanic whisper, "What if it doesn't work? What if we launch and they destroy it before it fires a shot?" She stepped forward, her voice calm but sharp. "Then let them remember that Earth did not bow. Let them remember our defiance. That memory alone will outlive us all." The mechanic lowered his head. No more words were spoken. At last, the day came. The ship stood complete. It was massive, larger than any machine humanity had ever built. Its black hull absorbed the light around it, making it appear as though it had been cut from the void itself. The workers stood in silence, tears in their eyes. Marcus walked to the front of the crowd. "Today we do not send a ship," he said. "We send a message to every empire, every tyrant, every ruler who thinks Earth is weak. That message is simple. We will not kneel." The crowd erupted into cheers. The engines roared to life, shaking the ground. The ship rose slowly, dust and smoke swirling beneath it. For a moment, everyone forgot their fear. For a moment, they saw hope take shape in steel and fire. As the ship broke through the clouds, Elena turned to Marcus. "Do you believe it will be enough?" Marcus's face was grim, but his voice was steady. "It has to be." Above Earth, the stars stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there, the Empire waited with fleets beyond counting. But now, for the first time, humanity had something to send back. In the silence of space, the Iron Dawn floated like a predator waiting to strike. Its weapons hummed with energy, its engines ready to tear across the galaxy. Humanity had built its answer, and soon the Empire would hear it. The Imperial Palace shone like a jewel in the heart of the galaxy. Golden towers pierced the sky, while banners of conquest stretched across its walls. Inside, the High Council gathered, their voices sharp and full of pride. "They say the humans have built a ship," one minister scoffed, waving his clawed hand. "One ship against the Empire? Laughable." The chamber filled with laughter. The sound echoed like thunder beneath the vaulted ceilings. Another councillor leaned forward, his long eyes narrowing. "Reports claim this vessel is larger than our dreadnoughts. They say it carries weapons unlike anything we have seen." The Emperor leaned back on his throne, his robe glittering with precious gems. His crown sat heavy on his scaled brow. He smirked. "Every rising world claims greatness. Before it falls, do you not remember the Drakari rebellion? They thought one fleet could defeat us. Where are they now?" The chamber fell silent for a moment, remembering the ash of that lost species. Confidence returned, like a poison in their veins. "Majesty," a general said carefully, "the humans are different. They fight with desperation. Their wars nearly destroyed themselves before they even reached the stars. If desperation can build such a ship, enough," the Emperor snapped. His voice cut the air like a blade. "They are insects. One ship cannot shake an empire that rules 1,000 worlds." A younger councillor whispered, "But Majesty, insects bite." The Emperor's glare silenced him. Across the chamber, another general rose. His armor shone with medals, proof of centuries of victory. He sneered, "Majesty, let us end this farce. Allow me to lead the fleet. I will burn their ship before it ever reaches our borders." The Emperor nodded. "Do it. Show them what happens." To those who dream beyond their station, the order spread quickly. Fleets gathered along the outer rim. Hundreds of warships lined the stars, their hulls gleaming like silver knives. Admirals laughed in their command chairs, certain victory already in their grasp. On one bridge, Captain Seroth paced, his fangs showing as he smiled. This human ship will be nothing more than wreckage. We will drag its carcass back to the capital as a trophy. His crew cheered. Confidence filled the air, but not all were so sure. An officer at the far console hesitated. "Captain, the humans have hidden much from us. We do not know the full power of this vessel." Seroth snarled. "Do you fear one world, one ship? Remember who we are. We are the Empire. Fear is for slaves, not conquerors." The officer fell silent, though unease lingered in his eyes. Back in the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat before a giant star map. Tiny lights glowed, each one a conquered world. His hands rested on the arms of his throne as he watched his fleets move into position. A messenger hurried inside, bowing low. "Majesty, the humans have sent another message. They refuse surrender." The Emperor's smile widened. "Of course they refuse. Arrogance suits them. Soon their arrogance will burn." The council clapped in agreement. But one elder did not move. His eyes were dim, his voice soft. "Majesty, I have lived through many wars. Every empire believes it is eternal. Yet every empire falls. What if this is our time?" The Emperor leaned forward, his golden crown catching the light. His voice dripped with disdain. "Old fool, you let fear poison your wisdom. The Empire does not fall, the Empire devours." The elder bowed, silent, but his heart told him otherwise. The fleets massed near the border, weapons charged. Confidence spread like wildfire. Merchants spoke of rewards, soldiers boasted of easy victories, and governors promised new lands once. Earth was crushed. "Humans are only dust waiting for the wind," one governor said during a banquet. His guests laughed as music filled the hall. Wine spilled, and promises of conquest flowed like rivers. But even as they celebrated, spies returned with unsettling news. "Majesty," one reported, "the humans do not fight like others. Their history is full of blood. Wars that lasted centuries. They have destroyed themselves and risen again. Their people do not fear death." The Emperor brushed the words aside. "A species addicted to war cannot survive against discipline. They are reckless, wild. We will tame them as we tamed all others." But beneath the arrogance, cracks appeared. Quiet voices whispered in dark corners of the palace. Servants spoke of the Terran ship as if it were a ghost, a shadow that swallowed fleets whole. Soldiers muttered that no empire lasts forever. One night, as the Emperor looked out over his capital, a storm raged in the skies. Lightning flashed, thunder roared, and for a brief moment he thought he saw the silhouette of a dark ship in the clouds. His chest tightened, but he forced a laugh. Only my imagination, yet unease followed him into his dreams. The next morning, news arrived. The Terran battleship had crossed into Imperial space. It had destroyed the first patrol in silence. No wreckage was found, only empty signals, ships gone without a trace. The council gasped. Generals shouted, but the Emperor raised his hand. "Do not fear. This is a chance. Let the humans come. Let them see the might of the Empire. And when their ship burns, the galaxy will remember our power." His words echoed, but the fear did not fade. Far away, in the cold silence of space, the Iron Dawn moved closer, unseen and unstoppable, and though the Empire laughed, their laughter carried the sound of denial. For deep inside, even they knew, arrogance was the shield of the doomed. The stars above the Empire's capital were filled with light. Thousands of warships stood ready, their hulls shining like blades of silver. Engines burned blue, weapons charged, and the void itself seemed to tremble under the weight of so much power. Admirals boasted across their channels, their voices sharp with pride. "Humans are foolish," one laughed. They think one ship can face the Empire's fleet. We will break them in minutes. On the bridge of the Terran battleship, silence ruled. The crew sat at their stations, their eyes locked on the glowing wall of enemy ships. The ship hummed quietly, its power hidden beneath the dark hull. "Readings?" asked Captain Arlen, his voice steady. "All systems green," replied the weapons officer. "Shields strong, main weapon charging." Dr. Elena stood behind them, hands clasped. Her voice was quiet, but firm. "Remember, this is not only for us. This is for every world they have crushed, every voice they silenced." Crew nodded. Outside, the Empire's fleet moved closer. Commanders sneered as their formation grew tighter. At the center of it all, the flagship stood proud, a massive vessel carrying the Emperor's chosen general. His voice boomed through the fleet's comms. "Today, the galaxy watches. Today, the Empire proves once more that resistance is death. Fire on my command." The ships spread their weapons toward the lone Terran vessel. The space between them burned with light as cannons charged. On the Iron Dawn, Captain Arlen gave a single order. "Hold." The crew tensed. Lights blinked red across their consoles. The enemy fleet was locking on. The Terran ship remained still, a silent shadow in the void. The general of the Empire raised his hand. "Fire!" The universe exploded. Thousands of beams tore across the darkness. Missiles streaked forward. Plasma cannons roared. The Terran ship disappeared in the blinding storm. Inside the council chamber, the Emperor smiled. "It is done." But then the light cleared. The Terran battleship floated untouched. Not a single scratch marked its hull. The energy of the barrage had been swallowed, absorbed into the black armor. The Empire's generals froze in shock. How is this possible?" one shouted. On the Iron Dawn, Arlen's eyes narrowed. "Return fire." The ship came alive. Its main weapon, a cannon running the length of the hull, glowed white-hot. Energy surged through its veins like lightning searching for release. For a brief moment, all of space seemed to hold its breath. Then, the cannon fired. A single beam of light cut across the void, silent and unstoppable. It passed through the first wave of ships, slicing them apart like paper. Flames blossomed in silence as the fleet shattered. The beam continued, striking the Empire's flagship dead center. The big, proud vessel, larger than a city, split in two. Its burning remains scattered across the stars. On the enemy channels, chaos erupted. The flagship is gone. Their weapon cut through us like nothing. We cannot hold. In the Imperial Palace, the council leapt from their seats, fear in their eyes. The Emperor's hands gripped his throne. "Impossible. One ship cannot—" But his words faded as the screen showed more ships burning. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Elena whispered, "It works. Dear God, it works." "Captain," Arlen's voice was calm, but every word carried fire. "Target the next formation." The cannon fired again. Another beam, another wave of destruction. Dozens of ships turned to wreckage in seconds. Admirals screamed orders, but their formations collapsed under the fury of the Terran ship. In desperation, smaller cruisers swarmed, trying to get close enough to strike. They fired everything they had, but their shots bounced off the armor, useless. The Iron Dawn unleashed its secondary weapons, streams of plasma and railguns that tore the attackers apart. "Majesty," a trembling advisor whispered to the Emperor, "their ship. It is unstoppable." The Emperor's face was pale. He said nothing. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, panic spread. Captains begged for retreat. Soldiers abandoned their stations. The Empire's fleet, once so proud, now scattered like frightened animals. On the Iron Dawn, the human voice echoed across every frequency, carried to every ship and every world in the system. "We are humanity. We do not kneel. We do not bow. We do not break. The words struck harder than any weapon. Across the Empire, citizens listening in silence felt something they had not felt in centuries. Hope. Oppressed worlds heard the message and whispered it to each other. Soldiers serving the Empire lowered their weapons, their hearts shaken. But on the battlefield, the war was not finished. The Empire's last reserve, a massive dreadnought, turned its guns on the Terran ship. It launched a barrage so powerful the stars seemed to vanish behind the fire. Inside the Terran ship, alarms flared. The hull groaned. For a moment, it seemed, even the Iron Dawn might fall. Elena gripped her console. "We cannot take another hit like that." Arlen's eyes locked on the dreadnought. His voice was steel. "Then we don't give them the chance. Fire everything." The Terran battleship roared. The main cannon glowed brighter than ever before. Secondary weapons unleashed their fury. Missiles streaked forward. Plasma arcs cut the void. Railguns spat fire. All of it converged on the dreadnought. In a final blaze of light, the Empire's last weapon broke apart, its core exploding in silence. The blast lit up the skies, casting shadows across the capital world below. When the fire faded, only one ship remained, the Iron Dawn floating silent, its black hull untouched. Across the Empire, fear became certainty. The Empire had faced humanity's answer, and it was not ready. Inside the palace, the Emperor sat frozen. The laughter of arrogance was gone. In its place, only silence and dread. And far above, the Terran ship waited, calm and unshaken, its cannon still glowing with quiet promise. The first shot had been fired. The war for the galaxy had begun. The galaxy held its breath. Where once the Empire's fleets filled the stars, now only wreckage drifted, glowing faintly like dying embers. And at the center of it all, silent and unbroken, floated the Terran battleship. On its bridge, the crew stared at the screens, showing the destruction. No one cheered. No one smiled. They all knew the truth. This was only the beginning. Captain Arlen's voice broke the silence. "Open the channels." A communications officer hesitated. "All of them, sir?" Arlen nodded. "Every frequency, every ship, every colony, every planet under the Empire's control. Let them hear us." The officer obeyed. Lights blinked, signals flared, and within moments, the Iron Dawn's voice carried across the stars. "This is Earth," Arlen said. His voice was calm, but it cut like a blade. "You demanded our surrender. You demanded our chains. But we are not a people who kneel. We are not a people who break. We are humanity, and today we stand." Across the Empire, countless beings froze as the message reached them. In crowded marketplaces, in dim slave quarters, in mines and factories, citizens lifted their heads to listen. Soldiers on distant outposts turned their radios louder. Governors and generals stiffened in alarm. On a mining world, a young worker whispered, "Did you hear? They destroyed the fleet." His voice trembled with wonder. "The humans fought back." An older miner shook his head. "It is impossible. No one defeats the Empire." But then the message continued, echoing across the dust-filled tunnels. "You have lived under fear for too long," Arlen's voice said. "The Empire's power is not eternal. It can be broken. You have seen it broken. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. Rise." The words spread like fire. On a prison moon, guards tried to cut the broadcast, but the prisoners had already heard. Their chains rattled as they whispered the human words, "We do not kneel." On a frontier colony, soldiers looked at one another with unease. One lowered his rifle, muttering, "If humans can resist, maybe we can too." In the Imperial Palace, the council erupted in panic. "Shut down their signal," one shouted. "Block every channel." But the Emperor knew it was too late. His claws dug into the arms of his throne. "The voice is already loose," he whispered. "It will spread no matter what we do." The council looked to him, desperate. Majesty, if the colonies rebel, if the citizens rise, then crush them, he roared, but his eyes betrayed the fear he tried to hide. Back aboard the Iron Dawn, Elena stood at the center of the bridge. Her face was pale, but her voice carried strength. "Do you think they will listen?" "They already are," Arlen replied. He gestured to the screens, where reports streamed in, riots, protests, soldiers refusing orders. The Empire was trembling, not from weapons but from words. Yet not all were convinced. The weapons officer frowned. "We've struck fear, yes, but fear can turn to rage. The Empire will answer. They will come with everything they have." Arlen's gaze hardened. "Let them. The more they fight us, the more their people will see the truth. Their empire is not unbreakable." In the mining tunnels, whispers became chants. "We do not kneel. We do not kneel." The guards grew uneasy as thousands of voices rose together, louder and louder. On another world, soldiers refused to fire on protesters. When their commander shouted, "Do your duty!" one soldier answered, "Our duty is not to tyrants. If the humans can stand, so can we." The rebellion had begun. Still, danger loomed. The Empire's remaining fleets regrouped. Admirals swore vengeance. One commander snarled to his crew, "I will drag that human ship from the sky with my own hands." But doubt spread through their ranks. Even as they prepared for battle, whispers haunted the corridors. What if the humans are right? What if the Empire can fall? Back in the palace, the Emperor addressed his trembling council. His voice shook with fury. "We will show the galaxy our power once more. We will strike Earth itself, burn it, salt its ground so no seed may grow." His ministers nodded, but their faces were pale. They remembered the destruction of the Imperial fleet. They remembered the human voice that refused to bow. Far above the Empire's worlds, the Iron Dawn floated in silence. The crew listened as reports of uprisings grew louder. Dr. Elena turned to Arlen. "We have lit the fire, but can we control it?" Arlen stared out into the endless stars. His voice was quiet, heavy with both hope and burden. "We do not need to control it. Freedom does not belong to us, it belongs to them. All we can do is show them the way." The crew fell silent, each one feeling the weight of his words. Then, across the galaxy, a sound began. At first, it was only whispers, then chants, then roars of defiance. Entire worlds echoed with the same human words: "We do not kneel, we do not bow, we do not break." The Empire had ruled through silence, but now the silence was gone. In the palace, the Emperor's crown shook in his trembling hands. For the first time in his reign, he understood the truth. The Empire might not fall to weapons alone. It might fall to an idea, and that idea now belonged to humanity. The Empire was burning, not in one place, but everywhere. Across the stars, colonies rose up, soldiers deserted, and governors fled their palaces. The once unshakable order of centuries cracked in only days. What weapons could not break, the human message had shattered. Inside the imperial palace, the council chamber, was chaos. Ministers shouted at each other, generals slammed their fists on the table, and servants rushed in and out carrying desperate reports. "Another world has declared independence," one minister cried. "The garrison on Vera has joined the rebels," shouted another. "They are chanting the human words," a general spat. His voice shook with rage. Everywhere the same words: "We do not kneel." The Emperor rose from his throne, his robe heavy with jewels that now seemed meaningless. His eyes blazed with fury. "Enough! We are still the Empire. We still have fleets. We still have armies. We will crush them." But his voice cracked and the council heard it. They exchanged glances. Fear had reached even their emperor. At that moment, a young officer burst through the doors, breathless. "Majesty, the Terran ship," It waits above our skies. It does not attack, but it watches. The people look up and see it. They whisper that even the gods fear humanity. The emperor's hands trembled on his staff. For a heartbeat, silence filled the chamber. Then he roared, "Lies! They cannot destroy an empire with one ship." But even he knew his words rang hollow. Above the capital world, the Iron Dawn floated like a shadow of judgment. On its bridge, Captain Arlen watched the planet below, where riots spread through the streets and banners of rebellion rose from rooftops. "They are tearing themselves apart," the weapons officer muttered. "No," Eleanor said quietly. Her eyes were fixed on the glowing cities below. "They are freeing themselves." Arlen turned to her. "The Empire is collapsing faster than we thought. We did not fire on their cities. We did not strike their people. Yet they fight in our name." "Not in our name," Elena replied. "In their own. We only reminded them they could." A sudden alert cut through the silence. "Incoming. Fleet," a sensor officer reported. "Remnants of their navy. They are approaching the capital." Arlen straightened. "Battle stations." But then another voice came from the comms. "Wait, they are not firing." On the screens, dozens of Imperial ships entered orbit. Their weapons stayed cold. Instead of attacking, they broke formation and hovered silently, as if waiting. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. "What are they doing?" someone whispered. A voice crackled through the comms, deep and tired. "This is Admiral Seroth of the Empire. We no longer serve the throne. We serve our people. The capital is yours." The bridge fell silent. Even Arlen's steady voice wavered for a moment. They surrendered. Across the galaxy, the same. Scene repeated. Imperial fleets broke apart, commanders defected, soldiers laid down their arms. The once proud war machine of the Empire turned to dust in days. In the palace, the Emperor stared at the reports with disbelief. "Traitors," he whispered. His crown slipped from his head, falling with a hollow sound against the floor. "Majesty," one minister said softly, "the people are in the streets. They are coming here. We cannot stop them." The Emperor looked toward the ceiling, as though he could see the Terran ship through the stone above. His voice was low, almost a whisper. One world has undone us." Outside, the roar of the crowd grew louder. Windows shook, doors rattled. The Empire's heart was collapsing from within. On the Iron Dawn, Elena turned to Arlen. "It's over." "Not yet," he said. "The Empire will fight to survive in the shadows. 1,000 worlds will need help to rebuild." "But the crown has fallen," she said. "And when a crown falls, the throne shatters with it." Did not argue. His eyes stayed on the burning capital below, where the people surged through the palace gates. The human voice, carried once more across every channel, echoed through the galaxy. "The Empire has crumbled. The age of fear is over. Stand, rise, and claim your freedom. Humanity will stand with you." On distant worlds, cheers erupted. Prisoners broke their chains. Children painted human banners on walls. Soldiers dropped their weapons and joined their people. The Emperor was dragged from his throne by his own guards, his shouts drowned by the chants of the crowd. His reign ended not in battle, but in humiliation. In the silence that followed, the Iron Dawn remained in orbit, watching. The crew stood together, heavy with the knowledge of what they had started. Elena whispered, "We came to defend Earth. Instead, we may have changed the galaxy." Arlen nodded slowly. "Perhaps. But change is never gentle. Many will suffer before freedom is real. Then we stay," she said firmly. "We do not abandon them." The crew looked to their captain, waiting. Arlen's voice was steady, filled with quiet resolve. "The Empire is gone, but our duty is not. Humanity will stand, not as conquerors, but as guardians. If the galaxy chooses freedom, then we will protect it." The bridge lights dimmed as the ship settled into orbit, silent yet powerful. Across the stars, the chant of billions carried through streets, homes, and battlefields. We do not kneel, we do not bow, we do not break. And in that chant, the empire was buried. Above the ruins of tyranny, a single Terran battleship floated, black and unbroken, marking the dawn of a new age.